We are back! Welcome back to Dash Explorer. I'm Sarah, and we have just gotten back from our 12-day trip across Europe to Italy and Denmark. And today I'm going to bring you all along with me as I unpack most of what we brought. Some stuff has already been unpacked. And as I go through my stuff, I will be telling you what I thought was worth it, what I regret bringing, and just all my thoughts on what we brought for our family of 4 for our 12 days in Europe. So if you watch my Pack With Me video, you might notice that some of these bags and suitcases don't look exactly like what I had in that video, and that is because I swapped this one for the one that I used in that video. I just did not think that other suitcase was gonna hold, so we ended up bringing this one instead. Plus, you might also notice this bag, and I will get to that in just a minute of where this came from, but I'm also missing Haley's backpack and Delaney's backpack, and then there's Andrew's backpack, which was really just all his clothes, so there's nothing really major to highlight there. So let's go ahead and jump into these bags and see what was worth it and what I regret bringing. So we're gonna start simple, and we're gonna start with the belt bag. This is something that I do really love to wear on the plane in addition to my personal item and carry-on. It's very small. It just holds my phone, my headphones, just the little things that I need for myself for the plane. But I'm gonna go ahead and say that this particular belt bag was a regret. I was between this one, and I do have one of the regular size ones from Lululemon, and pretty quickly before we left on this trip, I knew I was gonna hate this. The main reason is because you might be able to tell on the camera, but this zipper is in the front and it is not on the top. So before we had even left the car, my wallet had fallen out in the car just because of the angle. It also looked like it was gonna hold more stuff than it did, but I found that I had to kind of hold my phone the whole time because it didn't fit very well done in here when I had the 2 cameras and the other stuff that I was carrying in here. So overall, I got this from Target, and it's probably a fine everyday bag, but for the stuff that I was trying to carry around on the plane, and I didn't even use this day to day when we were sightseeing, I just did not love it. And I will be using a different belt bag in the future. So now I'm gonna get into my carry-on backpack, which still love it. I've talked about this in many videos, so I won't go into all the details again, but it just carries and holds so many things, almost to a fault, because it does get really full and it does get really heavy. So in here, we have Haley's tablet, and we could talk about screens all day long and go into all the pros and cons of tablets, but I will say for travel, you honestly don't even really need to bring much more than a tablet. We don't use this at home except for listening to audiobooks. It's really not something that she uses regularly. So when she gets it on a trip, she can sit on a train for 8 hours or a plane like we did yesterday and just watch movies, play games. But anyways, this was the MVP for entertainment for Haley. Delaney is still kind of figuring out how to play with hers in a more consistent way like Haley is, but as far as trips go, absolutely, thank goodness we had this. Okay, let's see. All right, so I will talk about these for a second. Having extra, these are quart size, but also gallon Ziploc bags is such a huge help, whether that is in case your toiletry bag leaks or gets dirty, it's good to have an extra one. It also is great to help kind of condense and pack down items like jackets or things that are really bulky. You can squeeze them down into here. Plus, I brought extra gallon Ziploc bags, so again, those are good for motion sickness. So again, always bring extra plastic bags. All right, so let's see what else we have in here. I have my jacket. I did wear this all the time. It was the perfect weight, just like a light quilted jacket. It did break the wind a little bit. That was a perfect choice for this trip. And all right, I think honestly my biggest regrets from this trip come in this bag. So if you watch my Pack With Me video, I had brought a lot of bags. And I think I even said in that video, I think I'm overpacking. And I would agree with that. So first of all, again, I brought the belt bag, I brought this green purse, and if you saw in the video, I brought the foldy bag, which took up a lot of space, and honestly, I had a note written down before I even made this video while we were on the trip that I brought too many bags. And I did for sure, but with an asterisk. So I don't like this belt bag, not bringing that again. This I ended up using every day. I didn't think I was even gonna use this at all, but I loved it, especially in Italy, because it was very crowded. It's a Jubilee year, and it's just, Rome is a huge tourist city anyways, that it was nice. It has these zippers that can clip on when you are in public, so it made me feel a little bit safer. Obviously, it's not 100%, but it's gonna be a lot harder for a pickpocket or somebody to take your stuff if you have these clips on while you're walking around. And it was also big enough I could put 2 or 3 diapers, wipes in here, my 2 pocket cameras that I had to carry around, my phone, the rocks that my children inevitably picked up and handed to me. Any souvenirs we bought. I even had my wet dry bag in here and my first aid kit. So this ended up being the perfect bag, and I honestly think I will be traveling a lot with this in the future. I don't have it in this bag. I think I stuck it down in one of the other ones, but I will go ahead and talk about it now, is the collapsible backpack that we have used on several of our other trips. I went ahead and threw that in case we wanted a backpack, and I did not use it at all on this trip. A big reason for that is because a lot of the places that we were going said that they don't allow backpacks. So just erring on the side of caution, I kept everything in the purse and didn't bring the backpack. And I honestly think from now on, I will probably be leaving that at home because we just didn't use it. And I think I have tried out some other things, and that backpack is just not for me. So I definitely brought too many bags, but the one that I thought I was gonna regret bringing until about 24 hours ago when we were getting ready to leave Denmark was this foldy bag. So I mentioned that I had just bought it and I was bringing it mostly because I was excited about it and I didn't know if I was going to use it. And this ended up being a huge game changer for the flight home because, again, on the note of bags, we let Delaney carry her own backpack on this trip. And so for the most part, it was really just her stuffy, her water bottle, and her blanket and her headphones in here. So just kind of the major things that she needed. But every time we put it on her, she would be like, oh, it's too heavy, too heavy. So we ended up carrying it a lot and that was getting really annoying. And we bought some souvenirs, extra snacks and food from throughout the trip, as well as we bought extra diapers in Denmark. So for the flight home, we ended up just putting her backpack inside this foldy bag, and that was just incredible. I am obsessed. It was especially nice because this has the slot on it so that you can put the handle of your suitcase through it, which was super nice going through the airport and dealing with all of that. It also has this really nice outer pocket on the outside, so I was able to stick in wipes and diapers out here for easy access, as well as Delaney's headphones, because those were the big things that I knew we were going to be able to need to get quickly on the plane or while we were in the airport. So I very much love this bag and I'm looking forward to traveling more with this in the future. I do wish it was a little smaller for when it wasn't being used as a tote bag. It's the size of this front pocket. It all collapses down into here, and it felt really cumbersome in my backpack. So if we hadn't used this to bring this stuff home, I was going to say that this was a regret, but it ended up being a last minute MVP. So I will continue to update my thoughts on this bag, but for this trip, I am so glad that we had it. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is kids' toys. So this is another one that was mostly a regret for most of the trip. This is very heavy. It has 2 sets of the magnet tiles, the mini magnet tiles in it, and those are pretty heavy, and that is honestly probably what added to a lot of the weight of my backpack. I brought a couple of these play pack grab and go crayon coloring book sticker things, and then the other thing I have in here is this. They're magnetic tangrams, and the book is magnetic, so they all play in here. And through the first 2 stops on our trip, so we went to Rome, Florence, and Naples, I was like, I brought too much stuff, we're not using any of this. But then it started to get to a point where they were kind of bored of the toys that I had brought for restaurants and things. And so one night I took these to dinner and they didn't talk to us the whole meal because they just played with these. We also ended up having a table that was magnetic at that place, so it was really cool. Delaney was really fussy on the flight from Naples to Copenhagen, and so I gave her this book and she played with this for a solid 10 to 15 minutes straight, and then Haley took a turn with it, so we did end up using this. I might not bring both sets of these in the future, the magnet tiles, because we did not use both sets. I just stuck one in my purse for dinner, so I might just pare that down to 1. And then again, there was a lunch in Naples where I brought 2 of these play pack grab and go coloring bags, and it was the perfect entertainment for the girls. So it was nice to just kind of switch up the entertainment we had for dinner as we went throughout the trip and add a little bit more. So I am pretty thankful that I brought all this stuff. The one thing that we did not do is spot it, and this is now the 3rd international trip I've brought it on and the 3rd time that I have not used it. So next time this might be staying home. But I do highly recommend these. They're very small and compact, especially they fit perfectly in this purse that I brought. And these are not heavy, so if you can find a couple of these before you go on your trip, maybe 2 for each kid, maybe 3, super worth it. And then it was nice to have some variety. So that's all I had originally packed as far as toys go. But the one thing I last minute threw in, because I happened to see a reel about it literally the day we left, that might be my new favorite travel toy, is Wiki Sticks. So if you don't know what Wiki Sticks are, this is what their logo looks like. I'm sure they have a bunch of different knockoffs of these. We actually got these as like a kids meal toy, or maybe even at a restaurant, like instead of crayons and a coloring menu, it was like a couple packs of these. But I ended up throwing them in last minute, and as you can see, like they're not very much. This is all we brought. It fit inside this bag. It's not heavy at all. It's literally just like string that's coated in like a sticky wax. I mean, it leaves a little bit of a sticky residue, but it's not a big deal. And you can turn them into shapes. You can write letters with them. I don't know if you can see those. Haley liked to kind of twist them up and make little jewels out of them. She would make bracelets or necklaces, but this, I would just kind of split the pack in half and give it to the girls, and they would play with it while we ate. And it was super lightweight. It was easy to throw in my purse on top of the 8,000 other things I had in there, but it was a lightweight entertainment for all the restaurants and just the times where they needed something to do. So I support whoever posted the reel that I saw before I left. I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, because these were the MVP of the trip. So I will definitely be traveling with these from now on. They are amazing. All right, and then the last thing I will talk about from my backpack and my carry-on is the universal adapters for your plugs, because when you travel around the world, there is no standard for what your electrical plug looks like. So having these is incredible. The best thing is that the actual Italy plug adapters that we have don't work in Denmark, and I forgot about that. And you'd think, having done this almost exact trip in the past, I would have remembered that the Italy plugs don't work there. Very thankful that we had these in addition to the Italy plug adapters, but I always keep these in my backpack, so in case I need them in the airport or easy access once we get to the Airbnb, always super glad to have these. All right, and then I'm gonna quickly go through my suitcases because overall these are mostly just clothes and they're also mostly dirty clothes. We did a really good job, I think, of packing clothes for this trip. I talked about this in my other video and I will go ahead and throw up at least the girls' pictures that I took from the Pack With Me video of what I packed for them. But I think we did a good job of packing like a capsule type wardrobe where we could mix and match everything. We had short sleeves, long sleeves. We brought one sweatshirt for each girl. We bought a raincoat and a jacket and we used all of them. I also brought extra pairs of shoes for both girls, which ended up being amazing because we got stuck in a rainstorm in the Roman Forum and both of the girls' fabric shoes were just completely soaked. So to be able to swap out their shoes in the afternoon was such a huge help. So I definitely recommend bringing at least 2 pairs of shoes for everybody because you don't want to be stuck with wet shoes on day 1 or 2 of your trip like we were. In this bag, I have our Slumberpod, which goes over top of the pack and play, and we shared a room with Delaney everywhere and we used it everywhere, but it just helps, especially because she goes to bed so early. So when we come in and we're trying to get ready for bed and plug things in, that she's not seeing us with our flashlights on trying to plug stuff in, and just kind of helps give a little bit of a barrier and just make sure that she sleeps really well. And we think sleep is so important, so we are so glad we brought this. I did run in 3 of the cities that we went to, so I am very glad I brought my running shoes. We ran in Florence, Naples, and Copenhagen for a total of only 7 miles, but when you're walking another 15,000 plus steps a day, you don't need to run that much. So I am very glad that I brought my running shoes, my raincoat. It rained, so glad we had our raincoats. And then the one last thing that I did regret from our trip was bringing these books for the girls. So, and again, I say regret with an asterisk because we did use them. We read, there's 6 stories in each of these books. Haley's is princess themed, but I'm pretty sure that that is upstairs in her room already. But they are pretty thick and pretty heavy for being books, and as nice as it was to have a variety of stories, I just really don't think that we needed them. A lot of times we were up pretty late and we were trying to get them to bed quick, so we just didn't read that many stories like we normally do at home. Plus the benefit with Haley's tablet, we have a library card, so I was able to download a lot of books for her, audiobooks. They also have these books that read to you, which she really loves, and I think we could have just gotten by with some ebooks, some of those read to me books and audiobooks, and that I don't think we need to bring these in the future. So as much as I did like them and we used them, I would probably not bring these again. And then, you know, while we're gone, we also like to buy books just to remember our trip by. So we got The Little Mermaid, which, if you don't know, Hans Christian Andersen was from Denmark. So there's a Little Mermaid statue in Denmark. So we got that. We got a story about Rome. So lots of souvenirs, lots of books. I think that's pretty much all that I have to talk about in this suitcase. But I will real quick go over this suitcase because I mentioned it in my Pack With Me video that it was new. So let me zip it up to talk about it. So this one is, it just opens on the top. It is not a clamshell like this one. I liked it more than I thought I was going to, and I actually ended up pushing the suitcases more on this trip than I have in the past. I used to be the stroller person and Andrew did the bags, but I kind of was more in charge of the bags for this trip. I think maybe because I had our puffy coats in here on our way to Italy, it took up a little bit more space and I just couldn't get as much stuff in there as I thought I could, but you know, we kind of reconfigured things a little bit and we fit like all of our souvenirs in here on the way home, and there just ended up being a lot more space than I thought. I also really liked these zipper pockets in the top. It was able to fit like the postcards we bought, any maps or other flat souvenirs. It was able to fit right up here, which was really nice. I don't love the handle. If you don't know from my other video, it has a wider handle than what is standard on a suitcase. So, I mean, like my foldy bag would not fit over top of this, and you know, other bags have the handle bag, they wouldn't fit because this is too wide. But what was really nice is we were able to, when we didn't have the stroller out, like in the airport, have Delaney sit on the suitcase and put her legs through here and hold on, and we were able to just kind of pull her through the airport, which was really nice. So when we didn't have the stroller out, this was a huge help. It also being a new suitcase, it glides really nice. So that was really helpful. This suitcase, this was its last trip. The wheels on this have just seen better days, and although maybe we'll keep it and use it for like shorter day trips where we're not walking on cobblestone streets all over Europe. This suitcase is done. I don't know if we will get the same open top style. I'm still kind of figuring out what I might want for the other carry-on size suitcase that we need. But overall, I did end up liking this suitcase a lot more than I thought I was going to, and I am very thankful that we had it because our other suitcases would not have made it through this trip. All right, so I think that about sums it up for this Unpack With Me video. I hope that you learned a little bit from what I regretted bringing, from what I am so glad that I brought, and that you are getting excited for your upcoming trips with your family, whether they are across the world or just across the state. Wherever you are going, I hope that you have a wonderful time and that these packing videos help you feel more confident in what you are bringing for your family and get you excited for your upcoming trip. So if you enjoyed this video, we would really appreciate it if you could give it a like. And if you want to follow along for more of our family travel tips or our family travel adventures, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you can get notified when we post new videos. So thank you again for watching today, and we will catch you in the next one.